So she made her mark serving personal and professional needs in everyday citizens just like you and me. Please welcome my guest, success coach Natalie Jones, to the show. Hey, sis.
Wow. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, good, good. I've been anticipating this conversation with you for actually a while, a month. I haven't actually seen you since December
It's been a minute.
when we were actually at the John Hope Bryant conference. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess my thing was, how have you been since then? I know you're a very busy woman, so tell me a little bit what's going on.
Oh my gosh. I have a company also. I have the nonprofit Community Life Improvement Center. We call it the Click, but I also have a for-profit business called Nat C Company LLC. And I have gone through the process of pretty much doubling my team of facilitators. I've handed over the operations of my nonprofit to an executive director. That was very hard because Click was my baby from 2015. I'm learning how to delegate, and it's relieving a lot of pressure off of my shoulders. It was tough, but it was needed.
Well, that makes a good leader. You've identified something that you needed to let go of so that you can
Mhm.
focus and pivot in your business. So that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good. So tell the audience a little bit more about yourself. I know that you have three beautiful children. You've been married. So tell us a little bit more about who Natalie is.
Okay, well, I'd like to be called Nat. That's what they called me since I
Okay.
was a little girl. And let's see how far you want to go back. I'm an only child. I grew up in Pine Hills, in the also known as Crime Hills, here in Central Florida, Orlando area. Graduated from Florida A&M University with a degree in architecture. Shout out to the Rattlers. And jumped head first into community development. Always had a passion for the community and helping people, which is what led me to start the Community Life Improvement Center. It's been quite a journey. I left a cushy government job with beautiful government benefits, and I jumped out into the deep and started my own business with two babies. What was
Wow.
I thinking? But I tell you, God did not let my foot hit the ground. When I put in my 2 weeks notice, within the next 3 days, I had an offer for double what I was getting paid at that city job as a contractor. It has been a wonderful journey. I love entrepreneurship. It's the best way for women to get paid, in case you didn't know. And so after doing my nonprofit for a few years, I ran into, issues with funding. There's always issues with funding when you have a nonprofit. You have grants, but then there's this space in between grants where you're like trying to figure out how to pay your employees and how to keep the lights on. So I said, you know what? I want to be the number one funder for my nonprofit. I'm going to create a for-profit business to fund my nonprofit business. I learned from my business coach that I did it backwards. You're supposed to create the for profit first, but I led with my heart and I did the nonprofit first. And as soon as I made that decision, doors started opening. I began to get contracts. I was doing all the work myself. My business partner said, "You need to hire some people." I did. And the team has just been expanding since then. So I feel like my life is just taking off and like God is just taking me wherever he wants me to go. And I'm just kind of holding his hand and flailing in the wind, if you will. But I love it.
Good. So let's back up because it when you got to that point. So when you actually made that decision to quit your job, like what were you going through in that stage to say, you know what, this is it. I'm really just over this. Because something in our heads as women, because you just said you had two babies.
Yeah.
So something in your head, I know that for me, it was like I had to get out of my head and out of my own way to say yes. That's number one. But what were you going through at that time to be like, I just needed to go ahead and take this walk of faith?
It was so crazy because what I didn't mention, I think my husband had just lost his job at that time too. So, God has this way of asking you to do things when it don't seem like the right time to do it. I'm like, God, do you know that he just told me? But that increases your level of faith. So, asking you to do something when it's easy, that's not going to do anything for your faith. So, I was working probably 50, 60 hours a week at my city job, and I had two babies. I was always exhausted. There was absolutely no opportunity for advancement. I even had a supervisor that told me she loved me. She said, "Baby, they will never give you what you deserve here." Um, Government jobs are good for some things for stability, but if you want to make good money, you need to do something else. So I started praying about it, and I was doing my nonprofit part time. That was also why I was exhausted. So after work, I would pick up my babies, and then I would go to a community center, and then I got a room full of 60 girls that I'm mentoring, right? And I was like, God, there has to be a better way. Be careful what you pray for. Someone showed up at the city hall today. They asked me to be on a panel that I was not qualified to be on. It was really weird. Natalie, would you come and be on this panel? We have some people who applied for grants and we need an extra judge. I'm like, okay. At the city, I was at the bottom of the totem pole. So I'm like, why are they asking me? But okay. So I go in. There are, a lot of nonprofits in there. They're giving their pitch about why they deserve the grant. And there was one lady in particular, when we went for lunch break, she came over to me and we started talking. And I ended up talking about Click and what my passion was. I said, but I know one day I'm going to do it full time. I just don't know. It's scary thinking about, doing that. And she said, God would be unjust. I'll never forget this. She looked at me. She said, God would be unjust not to take care of you. If he told you to do something and you do it, he would be unjust not to take care of you. And I was like, and she said, is he unjust? I said, no, he's not. And she said, right. And so after we had a break and came back, that lady was gone. And I'm looking for people. I'm asking people, did you see the lady with the yellow blazer? And they were like, what lady? I was like, I was there talking to her for this. No, we didn't see any lady like that. I don't know where she came from, but I was spooked. So I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I think God just sent me somebody to tell me it's time to go 100%. So we made a plan, an exit strategy. And the goal was save up some money, take a leap, and try to find contracts as soon as possible so that I can be an entrepreneur and do my nonprofit. And I jumped, and that's what I did. And I'm telling you, it was so obvious that God was right there with me when I did my first workshop after leaving the city. I took my last $200 to feed these girls. It was like elementary, middle, and high school girls at this community center, right? I took my last $200. I ordered the food, and I said, God, I don't know how I'm going to be able to keep this up because we meet weekly with these girls. The lady who delivered the food, she ended up kind of sitting in the back and watching what we were doing. And when the whole session was over, she came up to me and she said, God told me to provide the food for the girls for the rest of the year. I
What?
said, He sure did, because I don't have the money for it. And so things like that just kept happening. People would just come up and say, what do you need? And give it to me. And that's how I knew. I said, God, you're with me. You would be unjust, just like she said, not to take care of me if this is what you told me to do. And it just, for years, it kept happening like that.
Wow, I love that. I
Yeah.
because it's the obedience piece, So and then the paying attention, because sometimes we want something for ourselves and not quite sure it is our, the Holy Spirit, and God is basically
Mhm.
saying, I need you to trust and believe this. But it's like, we want this too, but is this really what you want me to do? Because there's
Yeah.
so many sacrifices that you have to make,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, I love that story. That is good. So how many nights did you cry? Like, like, God, okay, I gotta feed, I gotta do. It is hard,
Well,
and so
when I was working for this city, that wasn't easy either because, I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't satisfied, and God used, I just love the people that, when you're at a job and you're not supposed to be there, and there's somebody who's getting on your nerves and they're making it so uncomfortable for you to be there. Thank God for those people. I had one of those at the job, and ooh, I almost lost my religion one day because she was showing out. And I said, Lord, if you want me not to embarrass you, you got to get me out of here because I'm choked this late. Lord, forgive me. But that's how I was feeling. You got to be real with God. And so we have to thank God for people like that. And now I see, looking back, this person was used to make me uncomfortable, to push me out of this situation. She didn't even know she was being used. I need to send her some flowers. Let me write that down. Send some flowers tomorrow. Because if she hadn't have made me uncomfortable, I wouldn't have quit. I quit in anger. Like, you know what? I'm done. You know, but I
mm,
was already like being told to leave, but I was taking too long. And so that helped push me to write that 2 weeks, notice letter.
right. And you say it wasn't soon after that when you actually received your first contract.
Somebody heard that I left the city and told somebody else who told somebody else, and they called me and said, "Hey, I heard you left the city. Is that true?" I said, "Yes." "Okay, we want to work with you." I was like, "What?" And this was, an organization that does work in the community, but they had a large budget, and I was able to have more control over my time. As a
Yeah.
mom, oh my gosh, I had so much mom guilt working those long hours at the city. I would be exhausted, but I'm like, but I'm trying to do good in the community, but is this the only way to do it? I have to sacrifice my sleep, my time with my children. And God said, no, you don't have to. There's another way. And so
Right.
being an entrepreneur gave me that control to create the flexibility in my schedule that I wanted to be, so that I could spend more time with my children.
I love that. So,
Yeah.
at what stage in your life when you decided you needed a coach or mentor yourself?
It was when I realized I couldn't make that transition from self-employed to business owner. So, what people don't tell you is when you leave working for someone else and you start working for yourself, it can be just as stressful because you're still an employee, because you have no
Mhm.
one to work with, you have no one to delegate to. And honestly, when you come from a job or an employee mindset, you have to be very intentional about thinking like a business owner. It's not going to come naturally. So a mentor helps you to think differently. I'd like to call it going counterintuitive. A lot of the things that you need to do as a business owner, your employee mind will say, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that?
Mhm.
But you have to retrain your brain to think like a business owner. For me, I didn't understand, yes, you can make money without doing a lot of work because you hire people to do the work for you. But that feels wrong when you're an employee, but that's what business owners do. They
Mhm.
create the system, they put people in the system, they get most of the money, and then they pay their employees. You pay them well, but they don't get as much as you.
Right.
But as an employee, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. I should be doing everything, right? That's the DIY curse. I got delivered from DIY, and now I'm a delegation queen. I find somebody, you want to do it, here's the money. You want to do that, and free up my time so I can do the high level things. So I realized that the way I was doing my own business, it wasn't working because I was, again, burned out, stressed out, tired, and I still didn't have the money I wanted.
Yeah. So, do you only have one coach? Because I know that we are taught as as entrepreneurs, you should have multiple coaches. So, how many coaches do you have?
I have one coach. I like to put all my eggs in one basket so that I know for sure what's working and what's not, and I don't want to be
Mhm.
confused because I'm not speaking for anyone else, but for me, I don't want there to be conflict between who I'm learning from, and if what my coach is doing is working for him or her, and they're teaching me and it's working for me, I don't want to have to call four people when I can call one. So I prefer
Yeah.
one at a
So, what
time.
made you say yes? Because I know coaching is expensive. Depending, how did you know it was the right coach? Because I talk a lot about that too. Because even in our world of coaching and consulting and building, you have to find the right coach because you hear a lot of the same conversations. And how did you know? So tell someone if they're in that space. Like, I'm building my business. I'm doing this on my own. They hear everything that you're saying, but how did you know that, okay, this person was the right person for me to help me scale and grow my business and help me, you know, give me that freedom and flexibility for my family?
It really benefits to have a relationship with God. I don't know if all your audience is there, you know what I mean? But I can only tell you what's worked for me. And when you have a relationship with God, you get peace when you're going in the right direction. It's a different kind of peace. It's not, oh, I'm comfortable peace. It's everything's going to be okay peace.
Right.
Because sometimes when you're making the right decision, not sometimes, all the time, when you're making the right decision, it's going to challenge you and take you out of your comfort zone. There's a word or a phrase that I've taken out of my vocabulary, and that is too expensive. I don't believe that things are too expensive. There are things that I want, and there are things that I don't want enough to pay for them. When you want something enough to pay the price for it, you pay for it and you get what you need out of it. So I wasn't focused on the money. I was focused on the conviction. When I spoke to the person, when I heard the message, how did I feel? Did I see myself being able to walk out this process to the end and getting what I needed to get? And that was what allowed me to make my decision. It was, I really believe it was spirit led. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I had another moment that was kind of divine. And I hate sharing it because sometimes people are like, well, I'm not having experiences like that. I don't know what to tell you. This was my experience. So there's a song that I listen to in the morning when I pray. It's like an instrumental worship song. And I didn't even really pay attention to it. It's just something I would like to play when I would pray and read the Bible in the morning and worship, whatever. And I went to a couple of my first meeting with my mentor at his office. When I walked in, that song was playing. And I was like, well, what is going on in here? Okay. I said, okay, you got my attention a little bit, but it was playing softly in the background. But I was like, I feel something I feel every morning. And when I connected with him and his team, it just felt like family. It felt like this is the place where you need to be. It's gonna challenge you. Turn your employee brain off because the employee says that things are too expensive, because we have a limited amount of money because we're trading time for money. And when you're
Yes.
trading time for money, you're always thinking about, okay, this is too much because you're running out of time. So
Right.
I learned not to trade time for money because time is more valuable than money.
Right.
So it put me in a space. Now I'm going to pay full price for this because I know where it's going to take me. I'm going to millionaire status. So right now I'm going to pay this money and I'm going to learn from a millionaire how to do what I need to do so that I can become a millionaire. And I'm going to charge prices that I pay. You know what I mean? So I pay top price, and when I charge, I'm going to charge top price. So there was
Right.
a shift I had to make because as an entrepreneur, I was always like, I got to have the lowest price so I can be competitive, and I was always broke. It was not working. So that was one of the first things I learned from my coach. Like, stop trying to be Walmart out here. It's okay if people can't afford your services. There are people who have a lot of money and they want to pay good money for services. So shift your mindset. And I did that. And it's the best decision I've ever made for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I experienced you at a conference, and I remember you sharing your story, and I know it brought you to tears because you were actually sharing it in the audience. Well, you were on the stage, and we were in the audience, and
Mhm.
that was why I was like, you know what, I have to meet her. And then when I did meet you, that was my first encounter, and you were sharing that story, and I was like, you know what, it's so weird how God moves people, and He
Yeah.
always seems to put people in my path. And I know you're going to actually understand this because you're a God fearing woman. And sometimes I can speak it, and he's like, okay, well, then you got to believe it. And then I met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I wouldn't have actually said anything, right? But the young lady that I was with was like, I'm just going to go over and talk to her because I
Yeah.
feel
I remember y'all.
bad.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
she just went over to the table, and here we are. So I totally believe that God will make things happen and give us the signs all in the same time. So you have to be tuned into what He is trying to do for you in your life.
Yeah.
Um, so is it okay that we talk money business? Because I know you have a book that is called Meet the Money of Your Dreams. And I have a segment that I'm introducing to my audience right now, and it's basically called Money Business segment, right?
Mhm.
And so if it's okay, how did
Mhm.
you make your first $1 million, girl? Tell us that.
Well, the $1 million that we acquired for our was from our first government contract. It wasn't my personal million, but it was a million to the business. But we're getting to that personal million. I'm checking my account every month. But so oh my gosh, that's another beautiful story. So this is what's important, and you were talking about connecting with people. Let me tell you something right now, people. If you're listening, listen up. If you don't hear anything else I say, you need to connect with people who love God and have purpose just like you. Their purpose and their mission is connected to yours. I'm telling you, you have to do it. I'm an only child. This is what's so funny. So I'm an only child. I'm an introvert. I could be by myself for probably 20 years and it wouldn't bother me. But God taught me that He blesses us through relationships. For those of you that are talking about, I'm doing this myself because I don't trust people, you're going to be broke and frustrated. You need to get over that. You need to understand that all of your blessings come through people. Every single one will come through a person. Now, the bad things come through them too, so you got to be careful. But the blessings are coming through people. Okay. I met my business partner after I left the city. I got my first big contract. Things were going great. I was starting to get paid good. Boom, I'm doing good. Then God tells me they started doing some things that were not right. And you know how you making good money, so you said, I'm just act like I don't see that because I'm an entrepreneur and I need this money. God was like, no, you see it. Okay.
Right.
I'm walking
Right.
to my car and I heard him say, and it wasn't a voice, but he spoke to my spirit. He was like, go in there and tell him you can't work with them anymore. I said, get thee behind me, Satan, because this money is good, and I know God told me to leave my job. And this is my first project, so I'm not. And I couldn't even open the door. The feeling was so strong. I went back in that office like somebody was pulling my ear, and I told him, I said, I'm gonna have to go. He was like, why? I was like, I don't know. I just have to go. As soon as I left, the next day I picked up another contract making more than that. And that contract, the people in that company actually ended up in the paper about something they were doing that they weren't supposed to be doing. And I saved my reputation by separating from them because I listened to God. So you got to listen, y'all, listen. So anyway, so I get to this next company and I meet this woman. She was, you know how somebody's kind of in your background and you don't really notice them at first, and then they get closer and closer to your foreground. You say, hey, I'm here because I need to meet you. We ended up connecting, and we went through the trenches together of like being broke, being entrepreneurs, trying to make things work, praying together, encouraging each other. Um, and then one day we went for this huge contract. It didn't make any sense. It was her first year in her business. It was like my second or third year in my business. The largest contract I had received was like $100,000. We're going for this big contract, with the government. So what I already had my mentor by then, and he told me how to make offers. So we put everything together. I'm the numbers girl, so she's like, "All right, we need to ask for $700,000." And I didn't feel right about that number, but I was like, "Okay." We got off the phone. Something tugged at me. I called her back. I said, "We need to ask for at least 1.3 million." She was like, "That I don't feel comfortable with that." I'm like, "That's why we need to do it. We got to do something that's uncomfortable because we still have that employee brain that tells us that's too much money. No, it's not."
Right.
So we made our offer for $1.3 million, and they loved it, but they did not accept it. And then they turned around and offered us $1.6 million. I said, yeah, we'll take that one. That's the best. That's the better number. That's what I meant to say. It was a typo. So we got $1.6 million. And then that's where it happened. It was really just like a faith walk with another woman of God. We went hand in hand. We were both struggling in some way in our businesses, and we went after something together with faith. And God showed us it's not that hard. Even if you don't ask for enough, I'm going to make them give you more than what you ask for. You're talking about exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or think.
Oh my goodness, girl, you
Then
bringing me to tears.
Then it was renewed. Then they call back and say, do y'all need any more money for your what wait, yeah, what you mean do we need what kind of question is that?
Everything.
Let me let you know. Anybody out there, if you ever wonder if I need any more money, yes. That's the answer.
I'm willing to
So
take it.
it got bumped up from 1.6 to 2.4. This is
Wow.
her first year as a business owner. Okay. Now listen to what God did. He took me out of my job first. I meet her at her job. At the company she was working for got a new executive director. The lady was crazy. She fires her. She starts struggling. But this is my prayer partner. I'm like, I got you. So I hire her onto my company. At that time, I only had like 2 or 3 employees. I hired her, and I was able to minimum to keep her afloat. And then when we get this, then we come together and go after this big contract, and we get it. And just imagine just the journey and the friendship and how God blessed us and showed us, like, if you hold on to somebody that loves me and you love me, I'm not leaving y'all. I got you. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in his
Yeah.
name, he will be in the midst. That's not just for prayer and worship. That's for business as well. Get you somebody of faith and lock arms with them, and y'all believe stuff from God together, and He
Yeah.
will show up. He will. Whether it's a mentor or a business partner. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. So if you
That's
guys
why
are listening, I'm like, I'm just holding back the tears because she is speaking my language right now.
I
And 'cause I know that my Lord and Savior is he is my counselor. He is my coach, right? And
mm-hmm.
I strongly believe that because I speak about that a lot. And you're dead on. And I know that you also did a full segment. I think I saw it on either your YouTube about was it $1 million faith? I think that's what it was. $1 million
Mm-hmm.
faith, yeah. And so it's not that money is bad. It's like God wants us to succeed. He wants us to build wealth. He created us to build wealth. And you only do it well when you have multiple minds together, right? Like-minded individuals that can actually see the things that you can't see, and you can hold each other up. Oh my God, you're like a girl after my heart.
Well,
I,
that's one of the workshops that one of my signature workshops that my team and I facilitate is about team building, because it's the secret sauce. There, but the problem is a lot of entrepreneurs, they became entrepreneurs because they don't know how to work with other people. And that's a problem.
yeah,
Because people, it's like almost like the more people you can connect with, especially if they have the same faith you have, oh my gosh, what you can do, what you can accomplish, the favor that comes with that. I mean, think about in the Bible, what was it, the Tower of Babel? They were going against God's will. But because they came together, God was like, I got to stop them because they will get what they want when they come together. But if you're in his will,
yeah.
child, listen,
What you say?
whatever
Ask
you
God for what you want.
whatever
Ask
you
God
want.
for what you need. Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah. So tell us more about your workshops. I know that you do coaching, you do workshops, you have courses. So tell us about your actual business and how you can actually help the listeners if they want to connect with you.
Okay, my for-profit business, which is Nat C Company, I have a team of facilitators. I'm a master facilitator, which basically means I'm just really, really good at it and get paid good money to do it. And I have a team of facilitators that I've trained, and we provide facilitation services for a number of corporations, government entities. Anybody can use facilitation because it's a framework that you can apply to any industry and any team. And our signature workshops are strategic planning, team building, which is my favorite, and then community engagement, because every organization needs those three things. And our my research has shown me that the problems are going to pop up in one of those three areas. We're trying to engage the community. We don't know what we're doing. They won't listen to us. We don't understand them. They don't trust us. Or, I have a team, it's not working. There's communication issues, or I need to build a team. Or we have this mission and we don't know how to get there. So those kind of, that kind of, all the issues kind of boil down to those three things. But sometimes it'll be another issue and we'll be able to customize a workshop for the organization. We also work a lot with government. We're working with city level, county level, state level, and we're currently working on a contract with the United Nations. Super excited about that. That that was another God moment. Let me tell you something. After my little, y'all better listen. Y'all better talk to your father and stop playing. And you out here working hard and don't have to. So I'm sitting here after my little prayer and worship time. I'm just sitting there. And I said, what would be something to say? What else do you want? What's the next level to what you're doing? I say, well, maybe I can get like a federal contract, like go nationwide. And then something said, well, what about the United Nations? And I was like, yeah, wow, that would be cool. So I just wrote it down on a piece of paper. I want to facilitate for the United Nations. I go to a business conference that my business mentor was putting on. Every time I go to his conferences, something magical always happens. So I always know I'm in the right place. It was like a 3-day conference. The last day, a guy walks up to me, and he is African. He spoke French, but he lived in Canada. And he was like, hey, I heard about your business. Tell me what you do again. And I told him. He was like, oh, man, I think we need to work together. He said, I worked for the United Nations for 10 years as a train. I'm done. I'm finna close this window because you don't even know. You're not hearing me. I said, you'd work for the who? He said for the United Nations. And I was like, continue.
Girl,
And
stop.
and he tells me by the end of the conversation, we agreed that we're going to join our teams together. His is French speaking, mine he lives in Canada, mine American, and we're gonna go after a contract for the with the United Nations, so that we could facilitate workshops for entrepreneurs. So excited about that. It's like exceedingly abundantly. I didn't even pray. Like I didn't even tarry. Sometimes you don't even have to pray with your lips. The prayer comes from your heart. And God is spirit. He like, I already hear you. I got you. And I'm like, I didn't even go look for it. He walked up to me because of
Mm,
obedience. When you have the oil on you because of the obedience, things that are supposed to be difficult come so easily. It almost makes you feel like this is not right. This isn't fair. I don't, because you're addicted to the struggle.
right.
We've
Yes.
been programmed to believe you gotta struggle, you gotta sweat, especially women, especially black people, especially church folk. Oh, you gotta struggle. Oh, come on, you got. And I'm like,
Right.
hey,
You gotta keep
I-
tithing. We gotta tithe and
right?
tithe
I'm
and
in my
keep, yeah.
40s now. Can I take a break from the struggle? I don't want to struggle right now. Can I just relax? I'm telling you.
Oh my God. I'm so mind blown because it's like you literally had just said it. You showed up. And once again, you got into a room, the room, and the person walked up to you and said, let me bless you. I have the thing that you've been waiting for,
But
the
see,
thing
it's
that
not
you've
just.
asked
It's not just that. Check this out. We don't value what we have
for. Mhm.
because we're used to it. So we think it's nothing, it's whatever, it's not worth anything, right? He didn't just
Right.
approach me to bless me. He approached me because I had something that he needed as well. He
Yeah.
was like, "You're American. I'm trying to break into the American market. You know how to do this. I saw you've done that." I'm like, "But that's easy." It was about like putting a book together. I've written 9 books. I told him I eat books for breakfast. That's nothing. And he was like, "But if it's challenging for him and it's easy for me, now we have a mutually beneficial relationship. Who knows? And maybe he was praying and asking God for help with that. And he's a man of God.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So we're a part of the kingdom. My people, I love black people, but let me tell you something. My people are kingdom people. And God can connect you with people from all over the world. He has what you need in the most unlikely places you would never look. So
Yeah.
we have to get out of our comfort zone. It's so important to get out of our comfort zone because God wants to take you so much further than what you can imagine.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, like 200%, 200%. So,
Mm.
like in your journey and so far, like what's next for Nate? Like what's next for your your business and where you want to take it? Because now, because my thing is, I know I'm like, I heard government contracting was hard, and you bust through that already. I heard that getting that first contract and getting them to say yes, and so you've already bust down a lot of these doors that a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to even get into. So what's next? Like you're doing the thing.
Well, let me say something to what you just said first. One thing entrepreneurs have to do, like I mentioned before, is go after what you're afraid to go after. Don't say, well,
Yeah,
that's too big for me. Like what if my business partner said, this is my first year. It hasn't even been a full year that I've been incorporated. And I'm trying to, get $1 million contract with the government. Let me get one of these smaller ones first. I mean, if you want to get a smaller one first, you can,
yeah,
but you don't have to do that. And so I would challenge people to go after, do something that scares you, do something that makes you feel you're not worthy, and you'll be surprised what God does with that. It says in his word that he likes to use the foolish things to confound the wise. He loves to put people who aren't qualified to be somewhere. He likes to put you right there in the people's face that think they are that. So let him do that. But I digress. So anyway, so you asked about the next step. You know, I was like a chronic doer. I would plan. I would have. If you had asked me this 2 years ago, I would say, okay, so first I'm gonna do this and then blah, 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 blah. But God just don't be respecting my plans. And so he just take my plan, is like knock it off the table, right? So my goal as an entrepreneur is to allow God access to every part of my life, including my business. So whatever it is that he wants me to do is what
Mhm.
I will be doing. I have almost kind of like relinquished my plans and my desires to the point where I'm like, I don't know what we do.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing next. If you had asked me a few years ago, I would say, I want to have a Nat C company and a clique in every region of the nation and all of that. But I want to go where he wants me to go, because when I'm in his will, that's when everything blossoms. And when I'm trying to do it on my own, it's too hard and I end up regretting it. So I'm sorry
Mm.
if you wanted a different answer. I don't have a plan. I don't
Well,
have a
that's the
plan outside of
plan.
what
That
tells me.
is the plan. Trust
That's my
God.
plan. Obedience. Obedience is my Lord.
That
I
is
think I
the
just
plan.
passed the test. Thank you. Obedience. Good
Yes,
Lord.
that is your plan. Do something that makes you scared is what I'm hearing you say, and just trust God, and everything else will work out for the greater good.
Please.
And I'm so happy that you said yes to this conversation, because I know that you actually have helped me, even just in this little short time together, because I am that girl still trying to hold on to certain things, but I'm still trying to bring people in, and I'm trying to still sell them on, you can do this thing, but I'm like, why am I working so hard to allow them to believe in themselves? I can't I can't sell you your dream. I can't sell you the
Mhm.
thing that you've been praying for. If I'm telling you I can bring you, this is it, and you have to believe for yourself, because
Yeah.
I've been in rooms, you've seen it, I know firsthand, you probably seen it more than I have, is that it's real when someone said I done made $1 million. You went from $50,000 a year to 1.6 million to two. And I've been in the rooms where people are saying they have made millions of dollars in a day, and it's our people that is hard, that we're trying to say you can do this, but the millennials are saying, you know what, I don't want to have to work 9 to 5, I can do this on my own.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to believe that it's okay to for you to have that type of lifestyle, that you can make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And but people don't see it that way, and I think that that's the reason why my podcast is so important to me, is because I want to educate people on the things that they can't see and can't believe. Because if I can bring someone like you on and say, yeah, it's happening to me, I've done it,
Yeah.
I'm doing it now, you can, it's reality,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
And
that's why I
you
wrote
are a
that.
believer.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. It's a delay.
No, and I'm like, you are a believer. It's happening to those that are God fearing children. It's okay.
Yeah, I learned one of the major things that I learned from my mentor is that we've been programmed wrong in a lot of areas, culturally, in the church, about what God desires from us and what He requires. And some of the way that we view Him is through a filter of the dysfunction in our own families. So I like to share a lot of times, and I don't know if this is necessarily dysfunction. My dad, my dad grew up in low income area, and he was really big on struggle. Like you got to work, 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 and I wanted to make him proud, so he made me independent. So there were things that I would ask for. He would say, "No, I want you to work, 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 and then you get it." That was the value that he put in me, and it was good because I have a strong work ethic. But that's my relationship with my natural father. With my heavenly father, he does not want me operating that way. So as an adult, I have this value that I learned from my natural father that has done me well, but I'm trying to get to this next level, and that's not going to take me there. And so I realized that I got to a place where I would never ask my father for anything because I wanted to prove to him that I could do it myself. I took that into my relationship with God. When I would pray, I was praying for everybody else, and I would figure out my own stuff myself. And I remember God telling me and laying on my heart that I'm not a man. I'm a different
Mm.
kind of father. I want you to need me. I don't want you to be independent of me. That does not impress me. Okay, your surrender is what impresses me. And so I had to learn how to depend on God, which felt made me feel less proud of myself. It made me feel weaker, but I was kept and he was able to carry me. So it's like just like deprogramming our minds and learning how God actually wants us to live, how he wants us to operate when it comes to money, how he wants to bless us. He loves us. He doesn't want us struggling unless it's for a specific assignment for a period of time. And he
Yeah.
wants you to have the flexibility and the freedom to where if he calls you, you can go and you ain't got to stop and ask somebody first.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can just go. You know what I mean? Because we're on call. And this is why I sometimes with church people I can't deal with them sometimes because we're not clocking in and out of this thing. I don't
Yeah.
clock in into the kingdom on Sunday and then clock out and do what I want to do. I'm on call. So if I'm with a client, if I'm wherever, and God say I need you to cut this short, I need you to go pray for this person, I can do that. My business partner, I just had a meeting with our mayor, and we're waiting in the lobby and we're talking to the receptionist. We're in professional mode. We got the blazers, we ready to pop. And the spirit started speaking and it was like, pray for her. She's sharing things. I'm like, she's really sharing a lot at this reception desk. And I look around and the spirit said, you need to pray for her right now.
Ooh.
And I said, give me your hands. And she gave me her hands and we prayed for her right there. She started crying and there's hugs and stuff. Very unprofessional. But
Yeah.
my
That's what she needs.
professionalism did not get me here. Okay, so if you don't want to do business with me because I'm praying for this woman with something that she's going through, the God must not want me to do business with you because what he has for me to do is priority over everything.
Yeah.
You have that
Yeah.
flexibility when you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? You can have that
Yeah.
flexibility.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Like my whole body, yeah, you give me chills.
It's the
And
spirit.
it
It's the
is,
spirit.
yes, not only that, because I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate someone that gets it. I appreciate when I actually can sit down with someone that can share their belief and and you have to be you don't have to apologize for it, right? And I think some people feel that way. So do me another favor because you've already laid it out. You've basically said from beginning to end, your everything is in God's hands, and you
Mhm.
started your business based off of the belief. So if another woman is, regardless if she's starting up now, she's trying to launch it, she's trying to figure out what room is to get in, or who is going to be the mentor for her. All of the things that we've talked about and the things that you've shared, just one more time, share with that woman that in 2024, she too deserves the success level that you have had and what you're creating and building for yourself and for your family. Give her that word of encouragement to say, what?
Daughter of God, I want you to understand that you have a father that has endless resources available to you. And there is nothing that you can ask him for that he cannot provide for you. And he wants you to work, but he does not want you to work to the point of exhaustion. He does not want you to be emptied and upset and frustrated because when you're that way, you can't serve him. You're not as useful. He wants you full, he wants you rested, and he wants you working in your strengths. Okay? First of all, you have to believe that God wants to give you the desires of your heart. There have been so many people in our lives that have dangled a carrot in front of our face and we running after it and we don't get it and so many frustrations. That is not the way of the Father. He has something for you. It's yours. In order for you to get it, you have to get as close to him as you possibly can. This is my business strategy. You get as close to him as you possibly can because he sees everything. He sees the end, the beginning. He sees the business partner that if you work with them, they're going to do you wrong. He sees this. He sees the resource. He sees everything. So your best bet is to get as close to him as you possibly can. When I pray this. God, tell my eyes what to see. Tell me where to look. Okay. Tell my ears what to hear. Who do I need to listen to? Who do I need to be deaf to? Tell my hands what to do. Tell my feet where to go. Tell my heart what to feel. Especially for women, we have to ask God, tell my heart what to feel, because we'll mess something up feeling the wrong thing. Trust that
Amen.
He wants you to have it. Trust that He wants to bless you because He loves you. Money is nothing. $1 million, that's nothing to God. If you want it, sure. As long as that doesn't keep you from me, you can have it. So you have to, no matter what you're pursuing in your business, and I've gotten this wrong many a time, no matter what you're pursuing in your business, make sure that God knows that He's first. If you put Him first and He stays there, then no matter what you ask for, it's yours. When the Bible says He'll give you the desires of your heart, it doesn't just mean that He's Santa Claus. I tell people all the time, God is not Santa Claus. He is not Aladdin's genie. Okay? When he says He'll give you the desires of your heart, He will literally tell your heart what to desire.
Yeah.
Because you spend time with Him, your desires will change. And once your desires change, you'll want what He wants, and He always gets what He wants. So
Amen.
the world and the universe is open to you. It just serves you. So believe that He wants you to have it. Believe that nothing is impossible in Him, and be satisfied with Him. Be satisfied with Him, and then ask with that satisfaction as the foundation of your ask.
Be satisfied with Him. Do something that makes you scared. Make sure that you believe. These are all the things that I'm hearing her say right now. So if you have listened to this podcast from beginning to end, it has filled me. It has filled my cup. I don't know about y'all, but she has filled my cup, and I thank you for that.
God bless you.
Um, where on your social media platforms can they find you?
Oh, my assistant gonna get me. Let me see. So you can go to I can get pointed to my website that has my social media stuff, because I don't remember my social media stuff. My assistant does that. So
So what
go to
I'll
Nat C Jones. Nat C Jones right there. Oh, wrong side. natcjones.com has all my social media stuff. It has my books, Broke Up with Being Broke. That was the original book before Meet the Money of My Dreams. Meet the Money of Your Dreams was a sequel to Broke Up with Being Broke. And it has a lot of other books on there, and it has my YouTube channel and all that stuff. natcjones.com.
I would place all of that into the show notes as well. So if you want to tap into my sis to make sure that she can actually pour into you, regardless if it's through coaching, if you're looking for someone to come and speak, you've heard her say, so she spit gems today. So you know that she's going to be fire if you basically tap into her speaking. I've heard her speak live, so I do know that it's in her. Trust me, more than what you get today, it's in her. I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been another great episode of the Sly Ed Experience, where successors lead you through education and determination. I am your sister in wealth, prosperity, and clarity. I am out. Be blessed. Take care.
Bye.